Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Throwing Shade podcast. Quick turnaround for us today. We put out an episode last week, but geez, she's been a big week, boy. There's been plenty going on. Those who follow us, our friends and fam who came down to Harvey Sports Bar last Sunday for UFC 329, thank you so much. What a success the day was. We had 550 people in the room, would you believe? We're only expecting about 350 to 400. How crazy was it, boy? Geez, did you expect that sort of a turnout?
It was mental. For the first event, like that just completely eclipsed anything I thought would get. Just walking in the room, even just waiting to see the crowd lining up on the door, and then when they all filtered through, getting their spots, we sold out a table, so it was like sardines, putting everyone against the walls. It was just incredible, and for the first event to go that well, I think testament to all our hard work and obviously Harvey's team.
Yep, thank you very much, Harvey Sports Bar, for all your support. Just so everyone is aware, there is another event coming up, July 26th, where you've got Tim Zhu fighting Spence. So what's that, boy? That's about 8 days away from now.
Yep.
There are tables still available for this one. So for anyone who missed the first event, please get down there. It will be a great afternoon, same sort of format. And what I will just say is that it was amazing, the Harvey's event. It was that packed, but we had a few little tech issues. So for anyone who did come along and you didn't actually get to hear from us on stage, we do apologise, but just one of those things that in the events world, anyone in events knows that sometimes those things are out of your control, but it's just a sign of actually how many people were in the room that it was actually hard to roll out the event activations as we would have liked. But thank you to Harvey's, thank you to all the sponsors who donated to the day as well. We had some amazing prizes and giveaways to offer the crowd, but they will be all rolled out in a couple of weeks when we get down to Harvey Sports Bar again. Today's episode has actually been brought to you by True Protein, one of our great partners, and we are in a different location today. Our followers will be aware. We don't normally film in this studio, but we are at Absolute MMA in Collingwood. Now, the reason we're here is because on Sunday, we had a very special guest join us down at Harvey's as well. And unfortunately, we didn't get to bring him up on stage because I said about the tech issues, but we had Kaan, the lovely Kaan Ofli, who is not only a UFC featherweight fighter, great bloke, a Melbourne local, lives not too far from here in Collingwood at Absolute MMA. Kaan's been very gracious to organise today, jump on the pod. Kaan Ofli, one of Australia's rising UFC talents. Thanks so much for having us down here today,
What's
brother.
Up, boys?
Mate, appreciate you having us down here. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. Thank you for having me, and appreciate you guys having me part of the event at the Harvey's Bar. It was definitely a sick day, and like you said, the crowd was awesome, and appreciate the opportunity.
No worries, mate. What'd you make of the atmosphere? And one of the questions I've got on the run sheet, but it sort of flows into this, Kaan, is are you a UFC head? Are you a nuffy? Like, do you love getting into bars, and do you love the atmosphere of everything that comes with the UFC, I guess, when you're not fighting?
Yeah, it's so, look, I love watching, UFC on a Sunday morning at home, just chuck the kettle on and, just wake up in bed and watch the fights, but nothing beats, being amongst the crowd and, that energy. So, yeah, I definitely love, going to different sports bars and whatnot and being a part of it that way.
Beautiful, Kaan. And look, you are... we got you at a really good time. About 3 weeks out from your most recent fights. How are we feeling? You're on a 3-fight win streak at the moment. 5 fights within the UFC in a couple of years now. But yeah, importantly, 3 fights on the trot. You've had wins, but not just wins, impressive wins as well. And getting a first round finish like that in the lovely Azerbaijan, Baku. A few weeks out now. How you feeling? How's the body holding up? And I guess just, mate, how's this momentum that you're on at the moment? It must be something pretty special.
Yeah, of course, I've got to be feeling good. But as you say, as you're talking about it now, it doesn't even feel like it was 3 weeks ago. I guess it was a clean fight, took no damage, got to finish in the first round, and I was back at training 4 days later. So kind of just rolling into it. Not a lot of celebration and all that. It's just I know I've got some big tasks ahead of me. So. Yeah, like I said, I was back in the gym right away, and I'm ready for the next one. So, but I'm super happy for the run I had. Obviously, I had a little bit of a slow run after the Ultimate Fighter, but yeah, here we are, 3-fight win streak. And I don't look into the rankings and all that stuff too much, but being on a 3-fight win streak in the featherweight division is there's not too many guys on that. So, a couple more, and we start knocking on some doors. Yeah,
bloody oath. And look, you touched on, obviously, you came in and there was, I I don't know, did it take you a little bit to adjust, do you think, to the UFC landscape? I mean, you're on a 3-fight win streak now, but it started with obviously two L's. Did it take you a bit of time to adjust to the UFC, do you think? Was there anything why you thought that would occur? Anything you could put it down to? Or did it just take you a bit of time to find your feet within the UFC?
I think I was just a little bit unlucky, like once I got my Ultimate Fighter breakthrough, I was on a 8-fight win streak. So, and across I don't know how many years that was, but so when I had my Ultimate Fighter opportunity, I was like, here we go, this is my chance, and I was totally locked in that show and in that house. So, and it was just the finale fight, I think maybe got to me a little bit, and yeah, that was my first loss in 8 years. So yeah, that kind of just threw me off guard a little bit, once I shook the cobwebs off, back into my momentum, back to showing people what I can do.
Yeah. And Kaan, what's something I guess people watching back home don't really understand about, what it's like to fight overseas? Give us a bit of an insight.
Yeah, it's difficult. People don't like fighting overseas. It comes with a lot of different adversity, different time zones, the travel time, the struggles with not being able to have your team there with you. When you're fighting locally at home, you've got all your family, friends, teams supporting you. But when you have to travel, it's a little bit hard logistically. So yeah, there's just sometimes, a bit of a spanner in the works, but, you need to be able to deal with that, So I'm pretty lucky because even in the local scene, I had a lot of international experience before I got to the UFC. So yeah, I kind of knew how to make it all work.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then, as we kind of just touched on, you're on this winning streak at the moment. Has life changed much? You're getting a bit more attention? Are we getting sponsors coming at you? Are you getting more recognised, in the streets and at events? How's it all been?
Yeah, definitely. I guess you would say, I've come up as an underdog, and I'm still the underdog. In my last 3 fights, I've been that. But yeah, definitely getting the respect and the attention now. So that's nice. It's nice to get that. Yeah,
for sure.
And I was at your fight earlier this year, Kaan, in Sydney. Must have been a pretty special occasion, fighting on the home deck. Can you tell us a bit about what the crowd was like? I know you're on the early prelims, but I was keen to just see, did you actually get a chance to stick around, watch the rest of the card? A lot of Aussie wins, a lot of Aussies in action. Just how was the atmosphere fighting at Kudos Bank Arena?
Oh, mate, it was always obviously a dream for me to fight in Australia in the UFC. So to have that chance was amazing, and I always knew that the Aussie crowd is a wild one, and I only got my first experience of it at the weigh-ins, and people asking all these crazy questions, and everyone was having a laugh and just getting amongst it. And I remember before I even walked out to the weigh-ins, hearing people's questions and all that. I was like, oh, Aussie crowd's just so funny, you know what I mean? And it was really cool. And well, I was people at 9-10 a.m. A bloody filled up the arena, so I love that everyone gets amongst it. I didn't stick around only because I had a war, and I had my wife and baby. It was only maybe 2-3 months old. They were staying at a hotel just 5 minutes away. But I remember I finished the fight, and I wanted to stick around. One of the mates had a little box at the arena there, so I watched a couple fights, and I just really wanted to be back with my family, so I kind of just left my team. I said, we'll link up later. But I was in the public area, so I'm in my kit, I've got a bit of bruises and whatnot, and I'm trying to get out of the arena, and I'm just getting swarmed by everyone. I couldn't walk a couple meters without, taking photos to everyone. So that was a really cool experience. But in the end, I got a little bit of anxiety, and I was also a group of coppers, and I'm like, how do I get out of here? And the coppers were like, come, let's help you. And I just wanted to be with my family at that time. But yeah, it was an awesome experience.
Amazing. And you touched on your family there. It's going to be a question I've got a little bit down the track, but thought I'd just ask it here. I think, is it 3 wins on the trot since you had your newborn as well? Is that right? Is there anything to that? Some people have worse sleeps and might struggle a bit more with training when they've got a newborn. Is there anything to that, do you think?
Yeah, I guess the situation that I was in was I was on a 2-fight losing streak since the Ultimate Fighter. And so I had the fight in Rio against a tough Ricardo Ramos. I didn't even know actually too much about him. Like, it was very experienced. He had a lot of UFC fights, but also
15 fights in the UFC, wasn't
15
it?
fights, crazy like spinning elbow finishes and submissions, all that. But not only that, like, only the boys started talking later on that this guy's a killer in the gym. Like, this guy would smash Chad Mendes and all these guys. Like, he would put like some guys through some hard work. So he's very talented. And so we had the baby, and then 1 week later I flew out to Rio. So it was a lot of pressure, you know what I mean, to go into enemy territory, leave my 1 week old behind. There was definitely a lot riding on the line, but I guess that's what gave me the drive. So I think having a baby, being a father, definitely has given me a different perspective to life, a different purpose and a drive. So I love being a father too, man. So I guess the win streak's going to keep going.
100%. Has it changed your reason for wanting to fight and be successful? Is there anything that's sort of changed your, like you just touched on, there's a bit of a change of perception about fighting now that you're a father? Is that a real thing?
It has. Also, I used to put a lot of pressure on the outcome of my fights. Coming up when I was young, I was like, I can't lose, this or that, and I put a lot of pressure on the outcome. And I still think about the outcome very deeply, and of course, I want to win and be a champion one day. But the outcome doesn't bother me too much since having a baby, because I know that no matter what happens, my son doesn't care if I'm a UFC fighter or not. He just wants a loving father, or someone that he can, get aggressive with and play with at home. So that's definitely changed a lot to me, and taken less pressure off as well, So and I think I can now just perform and do the best that I can without having that pressure. Yes.
And Kaan, going back to you fighting in front of home crowds and things like that, Melbourneites, the capital of sport. Who do you think is going to have the louder fans? Do you think Melbourne fans, when you finally fight in front of the Melbourne fans in the UFC, do you think they're going to be louder than Sydney?
100%, mate. I'm hearing some rumours. I don't know. I'm hearing some rumours that the UFC is going to be coming to Melbourne. They need to be coming to Melbourne. We're the sports capital. We've got pretty much the record, I think, for attendance in maybe all of UFC. I don't know.
I think it was 57,000 or something.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
I didn't go to the last one, but I was at the first one with the Ronda Rousey when she, Holly Holm knocked her out with the head kick. And oh my God, it was just the most wild experience being in that stadium with that many people. But
I missed that one. Did you get to that, Paulie?
Yeah, I got to all of them. And the big one was Izzy versus Whittaker.
Yeah.
And that crowd was mental.
Oh man, I can't imagine.
It was just like soon as when Bob rushed forward and he just caught him with that right hand, the whole stadium just shook.
Oh mate. So look, of course, Sydney was amazing, but the true dream is fighting my hometown, Melbourne, and 100% the crowd would be louder than Sydney. Yeah,
that's amazing. I agree. Life inside the UFC, Kaan, does it feel comfortable now? Does it feel like home? It's such a big business. We only have to look a month or two ago. Just on the weekend, we saw one of the biggest celebrities in the world fighting in Conor McGregor. We saw the White House card not only a month or two ago with so many eyeballs on it. And you're a part of this organisation. Does it feel real?
It kind of doesn't, mate. It's always surreal. I was speaking to someone the other day about potentially, a couple more fights, and we're looking at, top 10, top 15, and to even be saying that is still kind of surprising me a little bit, on how quick that can happen, and what a big achievement that is in itself, So I love it. I love being a fighter. I love being a UFC fighter. I love being a professional athlete. I love this sport, man. With the highs and the lows, my dream has already come true.
That's so cool to hear. And look, who can you give us just a little bit of an insight into the dynamics of the sport? So you have a matchmaker who's allocated to you, I believe.
Yes.
Few people in the audience would know who the man Dana White is. Have you had any interactions with Dana as of yet, or is it more Hunter, Mick Maynard? Can you give us an insight into, I guess, how your fights are booked and what level of communication you have with the UFC Direct?
Yeah, so essentially you got Dana White, and then you got Hunter, which is the guy behind Dana. He would say he's like the second, his right-hand man. Mm-hmm. And then you got the two matchmakers, Mick Maynard, Sean Shelby, which do particular divisions. For the featherweight division, it's Sean Shelby. So, yeah, I just recently signed with a management team, but before then I was just basically having communication with Sean through email, and usually it was kind of a bit cold. It was a bit like, this guy, the date, are you in? And I've always been like, yes. Like no questions asked. I've never said, anything about opponent change or anything like that. I'm always in for it. So, yeah, and you've got so much other stuff though, mate. Like once you're a part of it, you realize, okay, this is why it's the best promotion in the world. No matter what location they go with, these guys are bringing, I don't know how many staff, mate. Like, everyone's over there. All the equipment, everything. It's just like, no matter where you are, it's a professional, setup. And once you're a part of it, as a fighter or even as a corner, that's when you realize, okay, that's the difference. Yeah,
it's a machine. Yeah. And what about UFC Australia? Because there is an office here in this country, I believe, with some staff on the ground. Do you have much communication with them? Do they look after appearances and things like that for you? How does that work?
Yeah. So, it shows how big the sport is in Australia, because there isn't that many head offices around the world. Like besides Vegas, I think you've got one in China. You've got one here in Australia in Sydney. I don't know where else, mate.
Mexico?
Maybe Mexico?
PI?
I don't know. But is there like an actual
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a PI there, but you know what I mean? Like a kind of an individual, like kind of sports and an office there. Yeah, I've had a little bit of communication with the guys there at the UFC ANZ. They support me a lot, like with the posts and the photos and all that, and appearances, and I think they'll become a little bit more traction with that now.
Well, you just see how many fighters are coming out of this country. Surely there's plans for a UFC PI here in this country. How amazing would that be? Mate, not that this is not a great gym, but geez, that would be really cool.
That would be awesome, and it is probably needed, right? Yeah. With all the talent that's, like you said, that's coming out, and the sport's just really growing here. Yeah.
And Kaan, we're talking about your career, you're coming through the ranks, like I said, almost top 10 potential coming up. Has there ever been a moment where you've kind of had that fanboy experience where you're backstage, maybe it's one of the old greats, or someone like a Conor McGregor, or even just a celebrity? Has there any been you fanboyed over at all?
I don't know, like growing up, I've never really had any like role models or fans. Like there's people that I kind of looked up to and whatnot, but not really. But the one kind of cool experience I had is when I fought in Rio. When I went to my locker room, everyone's got kind of like set times. So all the fighters don't go to the venue at the same time. So you kind of got set times that you leave the hotel and head to the venue. Anyway, so got to the venue and was in my locker room, and you kind of have like your kit set up with your team, like in your names and clothes and whatnot. And there was my team, like myself, and then another. And then I walked over and looked at it, and it was Charles Oliveira, and I was like, there was no one else in the locker room. So like me and Charles Oliveira, and like he wasn't there yet. But as I was like warmed up, prepared, and I was about to walk out, Charles Oliveira comes in with this bright yellow blazer and suit on, and I was like, bro, I'm in the same locker room as Charles Oliveira. So that was a bit of a cool experience, for me, like to experience that. But I see myself as them, I want to be, in their shoes. So, but yeah, that was cool.
That is very cool. I saw a piece, I think it was even on your YouTube channel, maybe, Kaan, that after the Sydney fight, like you're just down in the lobby after they're all flowing through, BSD just walks through and you're just having a good chat with him, invites you over to train with him in Paris. Like, it's just so cool.
It is. Actually, other than that is, I guess it's a fight that I lost against Naimov, so I didn't touch upon that. But fighting with Izzy, doing the camp with Izzy in Saudi Arabia, he was main event, so we did the camp together in CKB and traveling together. And he kind of brought me under his wing a little bit, and I'll give him a little bit of props to that. He kind of helped me out with a few things with the travel and whatnot. We stayed in the same house, so that was a really cool experience as well to be part of that.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions as well, Kaan, about Absolute MMA. We're here right now, right? Like this has been your home. I think you were telling me before for about 8 years now. But I have heard that you've trained at CKB before. You've done some camps over in Thailand, in Bali. I think I've heard you say as well. Yes. How does that work for you? Do you like getting a bit of variety between different gyms? Is there any reason why for a particular fight you might go look at another gym? Or and we're going to talk about Absolute MMA and what makes it so special. But yeah, how does that work?
Look, I've traveled a lot before. I was even traveling a little bit before I got to Absolute MMA, but there's 3 locations here in Melbourne, and my head coach Simon Carson, actually I'm very, very grateful for him. Yeah, he's the longest coach that I've been with for 8 years, and he's very open-minded. He's there's sometimes with gyms, it's like and I understand there's a bit of a loyalty thing, that, when you've come up with someone and someone's brought you up, you have to give that respect back, that loyalty back. And I totally get that, but where the sport is now, it's evolved so much. There's so many aspects to the game. There's so many variables and everyone that you're fighting is different every time. So if there is something lacking in your gym, I don't think it's completely wrong to have an open dialogue to be like, we need to bring someone in, or I need to go somewhere. And even sometimes it's just nice, to change your environment a little bit personally for yourself, to learn new things. Like I said, there's so much knowledge in this sport that, if you're in one place, it's very hard to get everything. Now, I'm very, very grateful that there are so many members here at Absolute MMA and so many coaches that we pretty much get the job done, but on a personal level, I love traveling. I love having, seeing new places and getting different looks. So that's just, one of my things that I like to do. So,
nice. And following on from that, Kaan, obviously travel, meeting Charles Oliveira, all these amazing things. Like, what's one of the biggest perks that you can tell our audience about being a UFC fighter?
Biggest perks, I guess, is probably that. Like, probably being I've always wanted to travel the world, and now I get to travel through fighting and seeing new places, new experiences. And I guess if you do well and you can start earning some money, then that's a bonus as well. Because I know what it's like coming up. It's a self-investment at the start. So for me it was like 10 years of a self-investment. So to finally start reaping the rewards a little bit is amazing.
Yeah, does it make you want to chase finishes more, Kaan? Some of the rule changes over the past few months.
Yeah, mate. There's a new 25k finish bonus, so that's nice. I felt like my recent performance was 100k, performance bonus. And then because I left the venue right away, and then we were watching the fights at a kebab shop with the team, and noticing that there was like crazy finishes happening. So I was like, and I guess the crowd in the UFC kind of remember what's happened last on the event, with the main card and stuff. So when you're a little bit early in the prelims, it doesn't mean that you can't get them performances, but you know what I mean? But I think there was like 9 finishes on that card. So that slipped away a little bit, but hopefully next one, boys. Yeah.
And then just back to obviously meeting people and things like that. We want to make a little mission. Who would you love to meet? It could be a fighter, it could be a celebrity, it could be a politician. Kaan, who can we get to come to your fight that you would love?
Shit. Damn. Fuck, you put me on the spot with this one, mate.
Channel 9 news presenter, maybe? Or
yeah, Peter Hitchener, mate. Let's get you ringside for my next fight.
There you go. Hats off to you, Peter.
Can I ask, Kaan, so featherweight division, it's always a great and very strong division. I just want to quickly first ask about one of the GOATs of the division who we saw on the weekend. It's obviously really big news at the moment. What's going on with Conor McGregor? What'd you make of his return? Were you excited to see him back in the sport? Were you a fan of his coming through the ranks with obviously everyone can appreciate what he did for the sport, but did you want to see him back? And what'd you make of the whole event on the weekend?
Yeah, I guess part of me as a fan would definitely wanted to see him fight again. On a personal level, I was like, bro, you don't need to. You got the life, you got the money, you've done what you needed to do. It was. Man, this sport is unforgiving. It's so cruel, and it's a very honest sport. You can do whatever, say whatever, but at the end of the day, once you're in there, it's very honest. So, we could see that he had aged a little bit, and I don't know how seriously you're taking your training when you're living on a yacht. You know what I mean? So it's just one of them things. So at the end of the day, he was the guy that really pumped up, the UFC, and has motivated so many young, kids to start doing MMA and wanting to be a UFC fighter. I didn't even really know that because I was kind of into, MMA before I even kind of, got into the UFC. But speaking to even like a lot of the young kids and stuff, they're like, I started doing training because of him, and all that. So, he's had a huge impact into the sport, and it's pretty sad what happened, but yeah, what do you do now, eh? Do you come back and just try and get one more in and close it that way, or this can't be it, right?
Well, do you think it was a pre-existing injury? Like, I mean, we've all seen the footage of him potentially stumbling a little bit.
It's so hard to say.
Think?
Yeah.
Like, do you think it's possible that there was an injury existing there?
There's like the limping and all that, but then there's him fucking cracking the pads right in the warm-up room too, you know. So, and even me, I was like, bruv, you know, why are you coming out with some massive kick like that? But looking back at it now, he actually opens up with kicks in all his fights, you know, with some sort of jumping kick or spinning kick. So it is kind of his thing that he does. So it's very hard to know. But if you're getting paid 30 mil, bruv, going with whatever injury, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not pulling out of that one.
So would I. And another one of the other GOATs of the division who's still at the top, the great Volk, you touched on him before. Is he the best of all time within your division? How long do you think he can keep going? And can you tell us any sort of interactions you might have with the great man?
Yeah, Volk's, I would definitely say he's definitely the GOAT of the featherweight division, mate. He's longest reigning featherweight champion.
Yep.
And
over 2 stints.
Yeah, to have, to be that dominant. He lost the belt, but to get it back and to still be defending it, you know, definitely he's the GOAT. You know, we've had a couple of experiences together. I think we've trained together maybe 3-4 times in Australia and City Kickbox. And actually, I went to Freestyle MMA one time and trained with him a little bit over there. Top bloke. Don't need to say anything about him. Everyone knows he's the man. You know, he's such a great role model for the sport. In and out of the sport, actually. So even as a family man. So, yeah, I've definitely taken a lot of, you know, stuff from him. As a family man and at how he does things like that, and also, you know, his fighting style as well. So yeah, he's getting towards the end of his career now. You can see that fighting frequently at that level is a little bit less and less. You know, once you're in the top 10, you actually fight a little bit less, you know. So I'm super excited to see when he's returning. Hey, we might be fighting on the next card again. So
wow,
yeah. So we'll see.
That would be huge. We'd love that, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
And I was touching on, you know, we're just speaking about Conor. Now we're talking about Volk. It's a hard question. We always toss up between this. You got prime Conor McGregor, like Aldo days, like, you know, knocking blokes out one punch with those jumping kicks, or you got prime Volk. Who is the GOAT, all-time GOAT in the featherweight division for you?
Oh, mate. Them fighting each other, like what's the outcome, or who's the GOAT?
I just think Volk's prime, Conor's prime, fighting each other. Who wins?
Mate, Volk's conditioning and gas tank and how long he can kind of take it, I think that would be the deciding factor, you know what I mean? But of course you've got prime Conor with his crazy power and knockout power and all that, so come on, mate, I've got to go with my boy Volk.
Love it.
Fantastic. Kaan, Absolute MMA, can you just give us a bit of an insight into the gym? What makes it so special? What's kept you here for 8 years now? And I guess why has this gym seen so much success?
Yeah, I think the gym, for one, it's so welcoming. There's so many members, all walks of life. You've got doctors and coppers and office people and tradies and people with no jobs, you know what I mean? Like, you've got all walks of life and all types of backgrounds as too. You know, there's no discrimination here, and the fact that you can have that many members and have the choice to. If I'm fighting a particular opponent, you know, a lot of the time, I would say 80% of the time, I've been able to have a training partner there to emulate that style, to have that, you know, body frame and whatnot, or the fighting style. So that's probably been a huge key in preparing for fights, as well as Simon. Like, he's got so much knowledge, mate. He's got so much experience, ex-commando. So I love the way he teaches, but also corners fights as well. So we've had a lot of success together, and this has also been a place for me to, you know, I was working a lot of the time here too, and I don't coach as much anymore, but you know, this was a space for me to even, you know, be able to work and make an income as well. So they've helped me a lot when I was a little bit lost when I came back to Australia, and it's an amazing gym, mate.
And so how does it work? Like, can anyone just literally join up and, you know, come and have a roll around, and they might be rolling around next to you or to Farjack? Like, is it like that, or do you have like set schedules where it's blocked out for more experienced fighters?
Yeah, so
How does that work?
we've got our fight team sessions, and again, coming back to what makes this gym great is there's so many classes. Like if you look at our schedule, you've got like 20 classes a day, like morning, lunch, afternoon, evening. So no matter who you are, what you do in your day, like you'll always be able to find the time to come and train here, you know. So high level coaching, you know, like all the coaches here are so experienced, so high level, from, you know, Commonwealth Games wrestling coach Connor, you got Ollie, you got Lachlan Giles, obviously the great jiu-jitsu wizard, and yeah, so many greats. But yeah, like I said, the scheduling, and there's different levels, you know. You'll have like an intro class, so if you've never done anything in your life and you're like, man, I just want to be a part of this thing and I'm a little bit worried or don't know what to do, all that stuff, intro class, you know, I mean, super basic. It's, you know, coaches will kind of take you through the ropes, and then you kind of build yourself up to level 1, level 2, and then, you know, if you're at that level, you can start joining the fighters classes and stuff like that.
I think Ben was asking that question because we were talking about who would be the better trainer between me and him, who would win the fight. We're talking about maybe joining the gym and doing a month's training, and then maybe you or one of the boys can critique and say who's better. Just looking at us, Kaan, who do you think's going to be the better fighter between the two of us?
Mate, let's just put your money where your mouth is, and let's do a little 1 month training camp, and then we'll have a little 3-round sparring match at the end of it.
I'm up for it, Tucker. I'll put it on you. Will you take the challenge?
I'll have a go at that. Let's find a time in a few
Throwing
years.
shade, throwing bombs,
That's exactly right. And then, Kaan, obviously, when we come to fighters' gyms, you know, we're mates with a lot of the city kickboxing guys. We've interviewed a lot of them. We always like to just get a bit of an idea of like the kind of characters in the place. You know, just a couple of quick fire questions. Who's the most annoying? Who's the hardest trainer? And maybe who's the one that, you know, in the group chat that's firing up and, you know, cracking the gags?
All right. Most annoying, damn. Have to be our maybe between our girl Lisa and Al. It's a bit of a hard one. Hardest trainer, as in coach, or the one that trains the hardest?
I'll take both. Yeah.
Trains the hardest probably have to be me. Coach will have to be head coach Simon. He's definitely on to everyone, and yeah.
No, and who's the one in the group chat firing up? Like who's the one that thinks he's funny or thinks she's funny?
Let's go with Samad. Yeah, Samad is always a bit of a character and always throwing shade at people. But yeah, this gym, everyone's bantering. You know what I mean? We're always having a laugh with each other, so keeping us grounded.
Perfect. The Aussie scene itself, Kaan, you've got a great story of coming through the ranks here. Obviously, former Hex champion. What do you make of Aussie MMA at the moment? Do you have fond memories of your time at Hex as well? Obviously, we're having a chat with the GM at the fights over on the weekend at Sunday, who came and joined us. What do you think of Hex, the promotion, and I guess, the broader scene of MMA in Australia at the moment? Yeah,
I love what I'm seeing with Australian MMA at the moment. Like, if I compare even amateurs, like I would say our amateurs are as on the same level as some pros or pros in some locations internationally. We have very, very high level MMA. When someone is up against an Aussie from another country, they know they're up for a fight. You know, we've got the heart, we've got, you know, the grit, and we've also got the knowledge as well. So it's a perfect combination. We've got really awesome amateur scene coming up, as well as some pros. So we're definitely going to be seeing a few new guys, I reckon, getting signed to the UFC in the next 1 or 2 years. So super exciting. Hex is definitely the leading promotion in Melbourne, and they've got a show coming up, I think. Yeah, they've got a show coming up in August something. My boy Al is fighting for the featherweight title, so hopefully we get to keep that belt within the gym. So it's super exciting times.
And so, what's the pathway there if you win the Hex featherweight title? What do you do to put your name from there to get on the road to UFC, Contender Series? Like, how do you progress from the regional scene to get noticed on the international stage, like where you guys are? Yeah,
look, there's no real pathway. At the end of the day, be on a win streak, finish people, you'll get there. You know, having a belt in a promotion definitely makes you stand out and shows, you know, how dominant you are of the division or your location. If we look back at Hex, all the champions have basically been signed, you know what I mean? So that definitely is a great pathway. But at the end of the day, I would say just take your time, you know what I mean? have your fights, get your wins, win in impressive fashion, and you'll get noticed.
And like we were talking to Jack Jenkins, and he was saying, you know, Dana White was saying, you know, you need to be more exciting. You know, don't be a one-trick pony. Is that your advice to young up-and-comers, that, you know, it's all good being technical and getting those wins, but is it you really need to put it on and put on a show? Yeah,
look, it's the entertainment business at the end of the day, so you need to understand that. Look, it's a very dangerous sport, so you do need to fight smart, fight technical. You've got a life out of fighting too, and if you've got family, so you don't want to be just going in there and having a swing, you know what I mean, just to make the crowd go wild. At the end of the day, you need to get that win. So just find a balance between being technical and getting the win, but also, you know, showing a bit of your showmanship, you know, being entertaining either in your talking aspect or in your fighting style. So find a balance, not one or the other.
And obviously you're mentioning, your boy is going to be on Hex. Is there an up-and-coming fighter that either at the gym or someone that you've seen coming through the ranks, even in the lower leagues, that you think could be someone that could go to the UFC?
Yeah, like the guys that train with us frequently, Al Volders and Mason, you know, they're definitely high-level featherweights that will most likely be there in Contender Series, UFC, etc. We've also, you know, got a couple other, you know, bigger division guys, you know, Kurosh and a few others. Sama is actually, it was like, we were talking about his record the other day, and it was like, I'm, you know, 6-1. I was like, you know what I mean? I was like, she has a good record, man, you know, so he's definitely close. He's currently had two wins on one championship as well, so he could be up next on Contender Series, you know, I don't know about this year, but potentially next year, yeah.
Awesome. Rest of the year for you, Kaan. It's been a busy year for you. Can we see you again this year, do we think? I know you said you hinted that you might be working on something, but how active do you want to be? You've been very active since your time in the UFC. Are you going to continue with that, like you touched on, until you get hopefully a ranking spot, fighting ranked opponents? What's the sort of short to medium term outlook for you?
Yeah, it's great to be in a position to get a first round finish with no knocks and bruises. So let's keep this going. I'm definitely in my prime, physically, mentally, and you know, I'm aiming for October, November. So this will be 4 fights under a year. So that's as active as you can really get in MMA. So that's what I'm aiming towards. Pretty much always training, you know, I'm always leveling up and fine tuning where I can fine tune. So I've got no idea where I'll be fighting, but I'll try and get one done in October, November, and fingers crossed we get something in Melbourne or in Australia somewhere early next year.
That's what we're all hoping.
Yes.
And then, Kaan, just a few more rapid fire ones. Always love just getting to know the man a little bit. Favourite cheat meal?
Smash burgers.
Oh, yeah. You and me. Because if I have smash burgers, don't look like that. Favourite UFC fighter?
Favorite UFC fighter? Me. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Who inspired you to get into the fight game? Is there a fighter, Conor McGregor, someone like that?
GSP.
Okay.
Yep.
Absolute GOAT. Hardest hitter you've ever faced?
Hardest hitter, maybe Isaac Hardman. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And then if you could fight anywhere in the world, Dana says, pick your fight, Kaan. Where are you fighting? What's like the dream spot for you to fight in the ring?
Dream. Don't really have a dream spot. I want to fight everywhere in the world and tick that off the list. But having something in New York, I reckon, will be cool. Yeah.
That's Tucker's favourite spot.
Yeah.
Kaan, you've been very generous with your time, mate, so we will let you go on a tick. But just if we can fast forward 5 years from now, Kaan, what do you want your legacy to be? Hopefully you're still contending, you're still fighting at that point in time, but what are you hoping people around the world are saying about Kaan Ofli at that point in time? Let's go 5 years from now. 5 years from now, let's say, you know, the underdog that went through a ton of adversity growing up in his childhood to make it to the UFC, to have a dominant run and to become a featherweight UFC champion.
That right there is what champions say. So that's awesome. And Kaan, just when we come to a boxing gym, we always like to say, who out of the boys in the gym do you think we could get on the podcast? Who's going to be someone that's going to be a bit of fun? And could you help us out trying to get them on?
Yeah, a UFC fighter, or who can we get?
UFC, could be anyone in the gym.
Maybe we get like Jake Matthews or a Jono, someone from the gym here. You guys had Jack already, right?
Yeah,
you had Jack. Let's maybe look to get Samad on. He might be next. So
on the hit list.
Yeah,
a couple of good names there, Tuckers. I'm going to put that on you to Jake Matthews, Jono.
Let's do it. Kaan, look, as I say, we can't thank you enough for having us down here at Absolute MMA. Enough for having us down at Absolute MMA today. For two fight fans like us, it's bloody just so cool walking into a gym like this and seeing everything that goes into it. Seeing this podcast studio up here is so cool. Thank you so much for having us down here, mate. We are going to be fans of yours for life. There's no doubt about it.
Go.
We can't wait to see you get ranked. We can't wait to see you climb the ranks, get the belt one day. We'll be rooting for you, mate. Thanks for having us down.
Legends. Thank you so much, boys. It's been
Good
awesome.
on ya.
Legend. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
That was awesome.